Let's turn our attention to what we talked about at the beginning, to a very important emerging subject, and that is financial wellness in the workplace. And joining us to lead that discussion with us is Denise Winston, who is founder of Money Starts Here. Denise, welcome to the program.
It is so great to be here with you, Ron and Doug. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, we really appreciate having you. Very important subject. Before we kind of jump in, give our audience a little background on yourself and what you're doing with Money Starts Here and My Benefits Academy.
Basically, I am a 25-year former banker, and what that means is that I saw day in, day out how the rich got richer, how the poor got poorer, how the bank made its money, and really how money can impact people's lives. And it's pretty dramatic. Leading cause of divorce, leading, when you financially stress, suppresses your immune system, which causes you to get sick. Then you dig into that. Leading cause of bankruptcy is actually medical, and 71% of those people actually have health insurance, and hence my work right now really focusing on financial wellness because, and I'm developing my Benefits Academy specifically for that because we're in a mess. We've got a lot of wild things happening with healthcare, and we've got to do something to really help that consumer and help that business deal with this. So what I love about my work now is that I have the business background as a banker, and I see, what happens with profit margins and all that, but I'm also very in tune with what the consumer experience is, and when you see what they do every single day, it allows me a different perspective to bring to the market to be helpful.
Yeah, I think this is such an important topic and subject, Denise, first the changing healthcare market is driving this necessity with consumers and employees having more high deductibles to deal with and more choices to deal with and making financial decisions about even their benefit plans. But this even started before that with, we all talk about total well-being of an employee population, but unless we address this piece, how can we have that, right?
Yeah, and what I found really, I've been doing this work doing financial wellness programs for the past 6 years, but I had a real sense of urgency when what's happening with the Affordable Care Act mandate, and when I realized what was happening to these people. I mean, it is unbelievable from a banker's perspective. If you've got somebody with an income, let's just say, when you go to the bank and say, how much of a house can I afford? They are going to take your gross income and take 45% of that and say, hey, this is what you can be using for housing, for your car payments, for credit cards, all that. But if you're in a 30% tax bracket, you're already at 75%. And now we're saying that you can afford 10%, roughly 9.5%. On top of that for health care, just for your premiums, and you should be saving 10%. So that leaves you with 5.5% left to live on. That's nothing, and that's not even co-pays, deductibles. That's nothing. So the financial stress that this whole ACA mandate is putting on our employees and our employers is extraordinary, and that's why I just feel the sense of urgency. Look, we've got to do something. I mean, it's going to crash and burn, and I think in 2016 we're going to see some very dramatic results from this pressure that's being put on the employer and the employees.
Yeah, you just stressed Jonathan, Ron, and I'll just that.
We don't think about this. We really don't. And people don't know what their debt-to-income ratios are, and they don't even know what that means. But you go to the bank, and they're going to lend you 45% of your gross income, and that's before taxes. And
yep.
And so you start running these numbers, and you're going, wait, you guys, somebody's got to at least become aware of this problem. And I think that's what we're here doing today, is creating an awareness of really what's going on.
Yeah, and it'll be a continuing big part of what we do, subject matter-wise, and across all of our content, our programs, et cetera. Tell us a little more specifically about My Benefits Academy. I think that's very unique what you're doing there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, basically, it's a program that's designed for large group employers, and it's really designed to bend the cost curve because a lot of employers don't realize that they have some control over their annual increases based on their utilization and their claims data. But I find that a lot of large group employers, they have that data, or the broker has that data, and everybody knows it's there, but nobody does anything with it. They're not really looking at that. And when you can design a program that can help bend that cost curve and really put the control in the employer's arena and the employee's arena just by becoming educated, engaged consumers. And my work has really shown me that how much employees don't know I find that employers and HR professionals a lot of times just want to get through that open enrollment, just do it. They're kind of like the parent just stomping their foot. They're angry about ACA. They're angry about and frustrated with the high cost, and so they just want to tell their employees, just do it. I don't have any other choice. But the employee doesn't understand, what it means when they go to the emergency room when it's really not an emergency. 71% of all emergency room visits, recently read, are not emergencies. And if you're a large group employer or you're self-funded, that's a hard dollar cost to you, right? So just even educating your employees on how to access care at lower points and about prescriptions. I heard you guys talking earlier on the show, just understanding that there can be a difference of 10 times the price of a prescription from one location to another. If you have a high deductible health care plan and you can go to Costco and get a prescription for $18 versus CVS for $256,
yep.
That's a lot of money.
Yep.
But employees don't know this. So my program is really designed to help those employees and the employer save money and put some things into place so that we can all benefit. It's really a new class of benefit is the way that I see it.
Denise, this is Ron Bachman. I think it's a great area that you've tapped into here because I think it cuts across a lot of areas that employers and employees have been concerned about. An employer just can't help somebody's financial situation by giving everybody some big pay increase. We know that in today's competitive marketplace that employers are squeezed and the market's looking at their values on the basis of their profits and their growth. And employees' purchasing powers declined over the last number of years as well. So both are kind of stretched, but one way an employer can help the employee is to figure out how to use the dollars they are getting paid more effectively. People have not been using those dollars. They tend to waste them. And the real interesting interconnection, I think, here between what you're doing on the broader basis of helping employees to use their dollars wisely and learn how to save more effectively is in this area of the growing application of health savings accounts in healthcare. Most individuals are not putting their own money in. They're lucky if their employer is putting money in. So it's another way to save and to give them some sense of security when they do need healthcare services that they've got money set aside on a tax-advantaged basis. They're getting money in tax-free. It's accumulating tax-free, and they get to take it out tax-free for their healthcare services. So tell us about your market. How big are you reaching this point? What's your expectations as you grow your business here? What's the market look like in terms of the demographics? Large employers, middle-sized individuals? What are you trying to reach out to?
Well, let me just say one thing real quick, Ron, because you just hit on such a big thing. I work with organizations that have people with their master's degree. They are incredibly, incredibly smart, well-paid people. The percentage of people that are using an HSA is alarming. It's because it seems so complicated. They don't get it. They're skeptical, and so they don't know what to do, and they don't realize how they can use this to get tax-free health care and save for retirement on top of that. So I find that a lot of times just breaking it down, and that's what I feel like is one of my gifts, is to be able to break down the complicated, make it simple for the average consumer. And what I'm seeing is that people are really on this, and you guys were talking about earlier, people are standing on the backside, just kind of seeing what everybody's doing. I kind of think about it as a neighbor, nosy neighbor looking over the fence. Like, well, what's everybody else doing? And I think, I do see large organizations. I think that the biggest potential is for a large organization, large group employers, or the self-funded to really harness, just even if you took financial wellness, and you've heard me say this in the past probably, is just that I see that a really well-designed financial wellness program can be to your health insurance premiums what your safety program is to your workers' comp premiums. Because if you dial this down, especially, again, for those large group employers and those self-funded groups, if you dial this down and get everybody in line, when you have a safety program, it's mandatory you have to take a class that you understand. And when we're spending this much money on healthcare as an organization and our employees, it's just a free-for-all. Everybody's out there. There's no training. 50% of the population can't even correctly define a deductible. So the large group, I've done a lot of work there, and then I'm also testing the consumer market. I've got one of my pieces is actually on an online learning platform, so I can really look at the analytics. So, it's I think that we're all in that open space where we're trying different things, and we've got to get the experience and the user feedback in order especially for me, to enhance my delivery and see. And it's much more than a 2-minute video. I mean, health insurance, we are talking about a $10,000 or $20,000 a year financial expenditure for a household. One person can easily spend, right, $10,000 premiums. So this is huge. This is a big financial decision, and it's such a small piece, but yet we don't give anybody any training. So I think that the market is open. People are ready to hear and find out what's available to them.
No, I think they definitely are. I think that listen. If you're a mid-sized and large employer, you had to move to a high deductible plan, and in many ways it's the right move. And people can talk about cost shifting. We here talk more about share responsibility, which I think is the right thing. And part of the share responsibility is employers embracing programs like yours, knowing that you can't just turn the light bulb on and say now you're a healthcare consumer.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work that way. So I think from what you're doing, even HSA players, I don't know whether you've reached out to partner with some HSA players. I think you'd be a natural fit with many of them. They're big about education and training around HSAs because people don't understand, how many people today have high deductible plans, but they haven't even utilized their HSA. They don't even know they have the ability to have an HSA card, to your point. So, yeah, I think you'll find a very embracing market because, let's face it, the other dynamic is, let's set cost aside. Let's talk about retention. We have a skilled workforce shortage in this country, and it's going to emerge more and more. And employers of any size understand that, hey, what can we do to not only improve performance and productivity and manage our risk, the cost risk, within our employee population, but how do we keep them? How do we keep them happy, and how do we keep them with us?
And it's such a great point. Employees are looking for something that's different. And my experience has been that the employees that I've done programs for in the past, they are gobbling this up. They want more, but they want unbiased information. Financial wellness is much more than, an insurance company coming in or your retirement, administrator coming in and doing a product dump on you. They're onto that. They want unbiased information that can help them make a wise decision on their own. They don't want to be sold. They don't want any of that. They just want to learn how to, work the system to their advantage and get what they need to know very quickly when and where they want that information.
Denise, what about generational differences in what you're trying to teach and what you're finding in the marketplace? Some of us, like myself, are old enough to, we're in the baby boomer generation. Our parents, in many cases, came up in the Depression and really ingrained in us the need to save and to accumulate some wealth so that we can invest and live off of some of that. But it was very much a saving promotion that our parents were doing. These days, the millennials seem to want to spend, not save so much. But there's new vehicles out there. 401ks didn't exist decades ago, and HSAs didn't exist. We see more possibilities for stock options with some of the startup companies, those sorts of things. How do you reach the different generations and their attitudes around savings?
Well, number one, I've done a lot of research on that multi-generational, not only their learning styles, but what's important to them. Millennials, too, they want to be part of something big. So your point of getting stock options at the beginning, they're much more willing to do that, but they're also not as loyal. And when you look at the research of how many of those millennials are going to be coming in, that was what was so alarming to me, is that less than 50% of the millennials could define a deductible. And when I do the work with these young people, especially high-paid young individuals, they are spending a lot of money on frivolous things, but they're not saving for retirement. They're paying more for a car payment than they're putting into the 401k. So there's some alarming stats there, but it becomes, once you start turning on the light bulb slowly, they start going, oh, we simply don't teach financial literacy or financial education anywhere in our society. You get your first paycheck, you go to work, and all of a sudden you're a money manager. And nobody sits down. I have a full 8-hour course that I run people through that can really set them on the right track of putting money into the 401k, understanding their benefits. And if you want that long-term employee, that investment up front can be extraordinary when they realize, if you start saving now, the magic of compound interest, or even understanding their benefits can be extraordinary results for retention and for satisfied workers.
Yeah, Denise, listen, This is Doug. We're towards the end of our segment, and this has been a great discussion, and we'll need to have you on again to kind of continue this because there's so much to talk about. But I want to give you a chance to kind of leave our audience with some clear takeaways and how they connect with you.
Sure. Actually, people can go to mybenefitsacademy.com. That has just a short little 1-minute video kind of about what I'm doing. There's a lot of different things that I offer. If people have questions, too, if you're trying to get ideas, this is a new emerging benefit that's out there. I'm certainly very aggressively testing markets and figuring out, what works, what people want. How to be most helpful. So mybenefitsacademy.com is one. DeniseWinston.com is another one. But I'm there really to help, and I have, a lot of things in the pipe and things coming down, which I'm really, really excited about, to be able to help people and businesses help their employees save money, as well as the organization save money too, by bending that cost curve and really getting control on all of this.
Denise, thank you so much. It's a great segment, and enjoyed having you on. You have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Ron and Doug.